Hello again, this is Dr. Octoberpuss, and I'm going to... So I did get into one of the Discords at least. I still can't post on Reddit, but maybe people will see me and maybe I can get up the courage to post a thing of mine. Anyway, right now I've decided to read one of the... so I'm still in the G-rated fix. Because again, once we try one of the spicier ones, then I'm going to have to skip a few things. But in the G-rated, ideally, there's not going to be a whole lot of banging and other fun stuff. But there'll be other stuff that is probably also fun. Let's see. So I decided I couldn't find the one with Nemo's sisters. But I did notice this one when I did the live stream earlier. It has Magenta's sisters. So Haruka's sisters. So, let's try this one, even though it is it's a one-shot, that's expected. It's a 7,000 word one-shot, is a little less expected. But I guess, here we go. Okay, so this is Triple Trouble by BlueJerboa. A nice day out at the beach for the Hanabishi girls gets more exciting than they'd expected. One-san Haruka is a bit more sleepy than usual for some reason, and her younger sisters have spotted something interesting in the bottom of her bag. Uh-oh. Track 3 of Karaoke Queens, with the track added to the Spotify playlist. To be added to the main story as Chapter 4 at the end of this... I'm not sure what... Wait a minute. Oh no. I was thinking maybe it was the series it was a part of, but maybe it's something else. So we have a YouTube, a Spotify. It's also a sort of sequel to Christmas Stockings from my Xmas 24 collection. Fairy Lights. Not essential reading, but a couple of jokes will make a lot more sense if you read it first. Well, I have not read it first, but let's go ahead, copy that, put something here. Oh no, adult content. Golly gee, literally just says explicit sexual content. Let's go back over here for now. And what kind of sexual content? Anyway, back to here. So, Triple Trouble. Wait a minute. This format. Okay, these are lyrics, and I am not a singer. Not even a little bit. Okay. Here we go. I think this is where the story starts. You'll wake her up. Don't worry, I've got it. Are you sure this is a good idea? You kidding? It's a great idea. Stop being such a wuss. It looks, well, cool. Yeah, it's just like the real ones. Where do you think she got it from? But it's One-san's. We can't take it. It's hers. She got it all safe in her bag. It's only in her bag. If she wanted it to be super safe, she'd keep it somewhere secret. That's what I'd do. Exactly. Don't be a baby, Akiho. Come on, we'll just have a play, and then we can put it back in there again. She'll never even know we've had it. Do you think so? I know so. Now stop being a baby, you big babyish baby. You baby, go baby, baby. Oh, I love this. Wait there, I'll get it. So this is the triplets. Just being triplets. They're all very little from the manga. So I like this. This is a nice little jump into it. The three girls were sat in a rough semicircle in the shade of the parasol, gathered around the edge of the beach towel on which their big sister, Hanabishi Haruka, lay dozing peacefully in her bikini and sunglasses, her mouth hanging half open and a faint, delicate snoring wafting out from between her lips. Alrighty. This has been happening a lot more recently, the girls had noticed. Haruka has been having some late nights. She was still alright, as far as big sisters could ever be alright, but she wasn't as much fun as she'd used to be. She'd been much keener on having lions on the weekend, for one thing, and if they didn't go in to wake her up, she seemed to always either have a headache or be hiding under the duvet, for some reason. Duvet? Natsuna had said she thought it was something to do with the bottle she had hidden in the shoebox under her bed, along with those funny socks and the other weird things, but when Mifuyu had laughed at her and asked her what she meant, she'd had to admit she didn't know. That sounds suspicious. What are you doing with a bottle under your bed, Magenta? Anyway, One-san was sleepy again, only this time she was meant to be the one watching them. Well, this was odd. Haruka was usually very protective, annoyingly so sometimes, fussing over them when there was no need to fuss, and never letting them out of her sight. But she'd been struggling all morning, and once they'd had a swim and she was drying off on her towel, her eyelids had started drooping straight away. I'm gonna just close my eyes a bit, girls. Just for a little while. I've got a bit of a headache. Heh heh. Don't go out of my sight. Don't go in the water, and don't be naughty. Okay? I really shouldn't read naughty with that voice. Okay, One-san. Keep your hats and your t-shirts on, too. I don't want you getting burned. Okay, One-san. And just, come here if you need me, okay? Okay, One-san. Good. Just play nicely. That's relatable. They let her settle, playing happily in the sunshine. 3 good little girls doing exactly as One-san had told them, while she took a well-earned rest after a hard week of, whatever it was that their big sister actually did in her spare time. They are super suspicious of Haruka in this. She's up to something, and they know. Something boring, probably, or maybe they don't know. They'd only been playing for a couple of minutes when Haruka's eyelids had slid down completely, moving from heavy to closed. Shortly afterwards, her breath had started to slow and grow deeper. The first delicate, whistling little snore had emerged shortly afterwards. I can definitely picture Haruka as someone who snores. That's adorable. The play had got a little bit rougher after that. Nothing nasty, just what Haruka would probably have called boisterous. A bit of sand got thrown. Oh my God, don't get that in your eyes. Followed by a bucket, and there were a couple of disapproving looks, but everything was fine. Then Natsuna had caught sight of something glinting, tucked away inside Haruka's shoulder bag. She'd called her sisters over, and they'd agreed that it was definitely something shiny, and definitely something they hadn't seen before. Mifuyu had said that it was definitely something that they should have a closer look at. Akiho had said that it was definitely something they should leave alone. Natsuna had had to decide, as she often did, and on this occasion curiosity had gotten the better of discretion, and she'd sided with her bolder sister. Akiho had looked unhappy, but had agreed to be bound by the sacred law of the sisterhood and accept the majority decision. As long as Mifuyu did the actual looking in the bag bit of the plan. That's smart, because then you can just blame her. That bit of the plan was now in progress. Hardly daring to breathe, Mifuyu bent over Haruka's bag, slid her fingers inside, and clasped the cool crystal in her hot, clammy fingers. She eased her hand back out and turned to face her sisters, eyes gleaming in triumph, and her new treasure gripped tightly in her hand. She held it out for inspection, and all 3 girls bent over to examine it more closely, their faces bright in mingled awe and admiration. Mifuyu was on the point of bursting with excitement, but Natsuna held up a warning finger to her lips, her eyes flicking back towards the sleeping form of their big sister. Natsuna seems like the smart one. Natsuna and Akiho. Mifuyu seems like the fun one. Let's get away first, yeah? Find somewhere good to go and play. Maybe up there behind the dunes? Akiho looked around nervously, but she said not to go in the water, and she said not to go anywhere out of sight. Maybe we should just stay here and play instead? Mifuyu sneered. She says lots of things. That's what big sisters are like. Anyway, her face brightened, we are out of sight already, aren't we? If she's got her eyes closed, so that's her fault. If she don't like that, she shouldn't fall asleep on us, should she? Fair. A sparkle of mischief gleamed in her eyes. And if she says anything, we'll tell Mom that she was asleep when she was meant to be watching us. That'll stop her. She's the fun one, definitely. Akiho still looked worried. But then she always looked worried to some extent. Natsuna took her hand and gave her a comforting squeeze. It's okay, we won't be far away. We're only playing, ain't we? And One-san's always a bit sleepy nowadays. I'm sure she won't mind. We're only borrowing one of her toys. Wah! I am not used to talking this much. Let me just magic water here. Okay. Akiho looked between the pair of them, from Natsuna's cheerful smile to Mifuyu's mischievous grin, and sighed, recognizing inevitably when she saw it. So a couple of things. Mum, and the spelling of recognizing. So I'm guessing this person is from across the sea over in that Europe-y area. Anyway, typically it was Mifuyu who brought the conversation to an end. 2 against 1, same as always, and them's the rules. Come on, you two, let's get our wands and our hearts. But Bagsy, I get first go with this one today. I got it, and it's well cool. Oh yeah, they're definitely British. What is Bagsy? With a giggle of pure happiness, she tossed the transformation heart high into the air, the sunlight winking off the gold, and caught it once more before racing away, her sisters trailing along in her wake. And then we got a little scene break. All right. Even Akiho had to admit they'd found a perfect location to play in. Just behind their spot on the beach, the sand rose into a long, rolling belt of grass-topped dunes, separating the open beach from the fields beyond. And beyond the very first dune they'd scrambled across was this hollow little valley, steeply sloped on every side, with walls high enough to muffle the sounds of the sea and the excited crowds on the beach. And to shield them from prying eyes, too. Oh, they're up to mischief. A perfect little amphitheater for them to play in all by themselves. Natsuna slung the straw bag off her shoulder and sat cross-legged on the floor while she tipped out the contents onto the warm sand. There they were, their very own, official, Tres Magia branded replica transformation hearts and wands. It had been a lovely surprise when Haruka had brought them home. They still weren't exactly sure how she had managed it, as she was always very busy nowadays and didn't seem to be particularly interested in anything to do with magical girls anyway. Nevertheless, one day she had arrived home later than usual after school, a homework club, she'd said, with a mysterious bag and an excited smile on her face. This is the sussiest Haruka. Come over here, you three. She's getting sussier. She ushered them over towards the kitchen table, where that bag sat enticingly, its sides bulging with intriguing hidden shapes. I've got something really special for you today for being such great little sisters, and to say sorry for being a bit rubbish over the last couple of weeks. Do you want to see? Too right they wanted to see. Hell yeah, they did. For a silly, boring old big sister, practically a grown-up, even Mifuyu had to admit that Haruka knew how to get them interested in something. I almost keep saying invested. She could play them like a harp. They sat silently around the table, eyes drawn magnetically towards that wonderful, captivating bag, as Haruka slowly tucked her hand inside and gave them all a serious look. She raised a warning finger. Now, you have to be extra careful with these because they are expensive, and, well, they're extra special, too, and you'll see why. But before we go any further, are you going to promise me you're going to look after them properly? Really promise, I mean, not just saying the words. You promise? They're kids faced with toys. Of course they're going to promise. A chorus of affirmation, a row of nodding heads, and 3 sets of solemn vows murmured in turn. Haruka glared at the 3 of them through narrowed eyes for a moment, then nodded her head once, apparently satisfied their sisters had grasped the true importance of their oaths. Her face cleared, and her usual cheerful smile burst back into full bloom. Okay, then. Well, don't ask me how I got them, but here you go. The sussy continues towards high numbers. Okay, let's see. And then she delved into the bag, withdrew her treasures, and carefully laid them out on the wooden tabletop in front of them. 3 sets of eyes widened in astonishment, and 3 mouths let out gasps of unfettered excitement. Their very own Tres Magia transformation hearts and wands. And these were the real official merchandise versions, not those dodgy knockoff ones that they'd seen down the market, and some of the girls at school had got and had been teasing them about not having, huh? And been about not having, huh? Nope, this was a real deal. Amazing. Where are you going, kitty? I have my kitty on my desk. She's so sweet. Haruka nodded in quiet satisfaction at the reaction she had gotten from her little sisters, then frowned as Mifuyu shot out a hand to grab at the closest wand. Stop! She raised her hand once more in warning. Wait a moment. Remember how I said you had to be extra careful because these are extra special? Well, they are. Look, I'll show you. She carefully turned over the gold and opal wand Mifuyu had been reaching for and pointed to the back of the heart-shaped tip. Do you see? She whispered. The girls craned over and squealed in excitement. It was there, as plain as day, written on the back of the wand's tip in a flowing, confident hand. Have fun, girls. Love, Magius Sulfur. XX. And there was a love heart, too. They looked up at Haruka in amazement. And now the twinkle in her eye was more obvious than before. Her resistance broken, she burst out laughing. Yep, they're all signed. All 3 wands and all 3 hearts, too. See? She flipped over the nearest transformation gem, revealing a similar message from Magia Azul. Don't ask me how I got them, though. I'm sworn to secrecy. Hee. I'm still having this one. Mifuyu grabbed the wand back off the tabletop and flourished it extravagantly. Ha! I'm Magia Sulfur. Out of my way, villains, or I'm gonna slam you with my fists, you miserable sons of bitches. Got just a little western there. Haruka gasped. Mifuyu, don't use words like that. It's really rude. It's really great. Keep doing that. And anyway, brow scrunching furiously in confusion, how come you know how Sulfur talks and about her fists? What I mean is, her face suddenly, that's what I was thinking, her face suddenly cleared, a fixed smile spreading from ear to ear below alarmed eyes, and a rosy glow appearing across the back of her neck as she scratched behind her right ear. Yeah, you're just, well, don't let Mom hear you using those words, okay? Otherwise, we'll all be in trouble. Huh, all right, Mifuyu looked utterly unconcerned. I won't say them near Mom, but everyone else knows about the fists, One-san, and the awesome swearing. It's all over the playground. Anyway, I don't mind. I think they make her way cooler. Haruka looked a little dazed. Cooler? Those giant fist thingies? And the rude words, too? Well, I guess Magia Sulfur would be happy to hear that, huh? Yeah, of course she would. Way cooler. Mifuyu's eyes sparkled with excitement. I always liked her, but since them fists came out, bam, bam! Yeah, I think she's my favorite now. My best favorite. I agree. Is my model having her eyes open? Maybe. Hopefully. Haruka smiled happily, a faint blush creeping over her cheeks. Is that so? Huh. Yes, well, she turned, staring out of the kitchen window across the garden, a faraway look in her eyes. I think perhaps that maybe she's my best favorite nowadays, too. But anyway, turning sharply around, suddenly all businesslike, you have to look after these, remember? Because I don't know how I could ever get them replaced. We will. And they had. The signatures were just starting to fade a little bit, but otherwise they'd kept them in perfect condition, swapping and sharing, keeping them clean, never risking getting them damaged, and with 3 sisters having 3 different magical girl sets to choose from, it was easy to take turns. Or at least it had been until today. Uh-oh. I have a feeling they're not going to be able to share all that well. Now, I need more water. Okay, this is long. Oh my god, we're not even halfway through. I like it. I don't mean to make fun of it, but it is long. I get to be magenta first. That almost went south. No way, Mifuyu, that's not fair. You don't get to be magenta. I'm always magenta. Maybe I could be. No way, Akiho. You're always Azul, you freak. So, you're always Sulfur. Let's take turns. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's take turns, but I go first. Mifuyu snatched the heart from Natsuna's fingers and glared defiantly at her sisters. See, I'm in charge because I'm the oldest, and I'm going to be magenta first. You can be Azul, Akiyo, just like normal, and you can be Sulfur, Natsuna, and then we'll swap. Do you promise? Akiho looked at the pink heart mournfully. Now I want to say Akiyo. Of course I promise. I just want to have a go at this one first. It looks, well, cool. Well, cool must mean like very cool in British. Okay then, Akiho's word expression brightened somewhat. Her sister was hard at work in lots of ways, but she was always honest. Oh, her sister was hard work in lots of ways, but she was always honest. That makes more sense. So who are we going to fight today? Is it demons or Enermita or Lord's Legion or something else? Ooh, I know. Mifuyu's eyebrows jumped, her eyes glittering with excitement. Let's fight that giant dinosaur again, like when we saw Magenta do it, and her panties fell off, and then blam, she punched it, like into outer space or something. Natsuna frowned. Yeah, but there's only one of them, and only you'd get to be Big Magenta. And what do? Just fly around a bit and go inside your dress? No thanks. Oh, Mifuyu shrugged dismissively. Well, we'll have 3 dinosaurs then. It's easy. And you can all be big too, yeah? She smiled beseechingly. Go on, it'll be fun. How will you have 3? Oh, I get it. Imagination. That's a thing people can do. Go on, it'll be fun. Natsuna's mouth set in a hard little line. She held Mifuyu's gaze for a long moment before grudgingly nodding. After all, she would get the next turn herself. Okay then, let's get ready for action. Bad guys coming in. Mifuyu struck a dramatic pose. Everyone get your hearts. We're going to need to transform. She quickly hung the transformation hearts around her sister's necks before donning her own, taking care to keep this extra special one that One-san had been hiding clutched tight in her hand, too. Oh dear. She didn't want to let the thing go for 1 second. That's gonna be fun. Natsuna's eyes flicked from one sister to the other. Ready then, girls? Magenta? Azul? Let's kick some demon butt, and I'm gonna jolly well use my smash fists. She'd been practicing her sulfur voice for ages. It was way better than Mifuyu's. Akiho frowned. We're fighting dinosaurs, Mifuyu said. Mifuyu grinned. Oh, who cares? It don't matter anyway. On 3 then? 1, 2, 3... Transmagia! There was a surprisingly bright burst of light. A small tornado of loose sand billowed up into the sky, with Mifuyu's shocked squealing lost somewhere in the midst of the twisting air. So I think that's awesome. Okay, here we go. A short distance away down the beach. Oh no! Morino Korisu straightened up from the sandcastle she had been building and lifted her head in the direction of the magical disturbance. Her eyes narrowed. She chewed her bottom lip thoughtfully, just nom 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 nom. Okay. She was on her own today, with no help likely to arrive either, unless one of the others managed to give their family the slip and portal in. Not likely, but she knew her duty as a villain even on a weekend off. Besides, it was only one magical signature, and she rather thought that she recognized it too. This... Because I do remember one of the times that Korisu and Haruka fought, just the two of them. Anyway, a hopeful light kindled in her crimson eyes, and the thin-lipped line of her mouth softened. She stared across at her mother, where she sat on the sunbed, that wretched phone of hers glued to her ear. That useless mum smiled apologetically and flapped her free hand in the direction of the phone, rolling her eyes. Ordinarily, she'd be upset by having some of their precious time together ruined by work, but right now it played into her hands. She smiled sympathetically at her mother, gave her an encouraging thumbs up, and mimed a pair of legs walking with her index and middle fingers. Mum's face cleared in understanding, and she smiled, nodded, and held up her hand, the fingers spread wildly. 5 minutes? Yeah, right. Her eyes alighted on her faithful old rucksack lying on the ground next to her towel, before turning to the small pile of toys safely stowed in her bucket alongside the inflatable. Her mouth twisted up into a mischievous smile. Oh ho ho. Oh ho ho, Alice is gonna have some fun here today. Oh God. I am curious what the transformation would look like. Well, maybe they're going to describe it, so I should shut up and read. Whoa, so cool! It was rare for Mifuyu to be rendered speechless, but this time she was completely lost for words. Instead, she was reduced to staring down mutely at the long pink gloves which now covered her hands to the elbows, before raising a flabbergasted face to her sisters. Akiho stood absolutely still, frozen in shock, with her hands clasped to her face and eyes as wide as saucers, while Natsuna had both hands on her hips and was wearing an expression of mingled delight and jealousy. That's like next level stuff. Wow! How did they do that? Is it like a hologram or something? I don't know. Mifuyu lowered her hands and tugged at the fabric of her dress. It's real. It's not like, I don't know, special effects or anything. So cool! Natsuna scrambled across and started poking and prodding at her sister. So cool, I'm just going to poke the shit out of you now. Hey, get off, pack it in. I don't come jabbing at you each time you've got a new outfit. Yeah, but come on, I've never had an outfit like that. You really look like Magia Magenta. Oh, okay, so it kind of transformed her into very similar to her sister. Oh, you've even got the hair, sort of. She tugged happily at the stubby little drill curl on the left side of Mifuyu's head. Oh, yeah, because her hair's probably not long enough. Ow, stop it. Oh, but yeah, I do, don't I? Ha ha ha, she laughed delightedly. I make it sound evil, but she laughed delightedly, picked up the discarded plastic wand off the sand and gave Natsuna a menacing grin. Please don't kill your sister. I'm going to do some serious butt-kicking now. Just you watch. Yeah! She swung her arm in an arc, pointing the wand at Akiho and maybe, possibly, hoping just a little bit that something exciting would happen. Nothing did. Thank God. You almost blew her head off. Huh. So the wand's still just a wand anyway. But what about this gem? Why did it do this? Akiho sat up from where she had thrown herself, face down and onto the sand, and scratched her chin, a thoughtful, dreamy expression spreading across her face. How come One-san had this in her bag? Do you think she got it from the same place she got her wands and hearts from? She never said where that was, and she was a bit funny about it, wasn't she? Natsuna shrugged. Don't know. How could we know? She's been a bit weird lately, though, hasn't she? Anyway, turning back to Mifuyu. So, maybe, can I have a go now? No way, come off it. We haven't even started playing yet. I want to have a go first. Come on, let's fight them demons. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, demons, yeah, whatever. Come on, you all ready? They're coming for us, and we're going to go and attack on them on 3. We're going to go and attack on them on 3. 1, 2, they jumped. Natsuna and Akiho landed. Mifuyu didn't. There she goes, blasting off again. There was a long, painfully still, drawn-out silence. And then Mifuyu squealed in pure delight. Arg! She squealed in pure delight. Look at me! Look at me! Look at me! Look at me! Yeah, we're looking. Natsuna's normally bubbly voice was cowed, and she spoke in hushed, frightened tones. How are you doing that? I don't know, Mifuyu shrugged, looking down at her sisters from her vantage point some 8 feet above them. You saw, I just jumped. I just got them hops. And then, I kept on jumping, and then I sort of thought, I'm getting a bit too far up. So I thought I'd better stop, and, I am stopped. Can you come down, please? Akiho stared up at her with frightened eyes. Because if One-san wakes up and sees us, we'll be in big trouble, specifically flying. Very, very not allowed. You shouldn't be doing that. It might be dangerous, too, I think. Yeah, I think so, but, how? Natsuna shrugged. Just try thinking about going down again, I guess. That's how I thought about going up there and stopping. Okay, I'll have a go. Watch this. There was a long pause while Mifuyu grew increasingly red in the face. And then, just as Natsuna had started twiddling her fingers in impatience, Mifuyu's expression suddenly cleared, and she started gracefully descending to the ground. Those pristine Magia Magenta petticoats billowing out gently into the warm sea breeze. Just like the real Magenta, Natsuna said admiringly. And we could see your panties, too, just like the real Magenta. Mifuyu laughed in delight. So cool, I'm going to be the best in this fight. So is it my turn now? No way, I haven't even had a proper go yet. We've got to see what else I can do. Come on, you said you were going to... You've got your own heart, and you always want to be Sulfur instead of me anyway. I'm going to stay like this a bit longer. Look, Magia Wand! There was a burst of pink light. Mifuyu gasped. Oh, wow, look! Look! Look, 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 look! No way! Grinning from ear to ear, Mifuyu twisted the wand in her hand, and it appeared out of nowhere. She was certain of that. As soon as she shouted that command, like magic. Somehow this was the real deal. She turned it in her hands, feeling the weight, admiring the way the light glinted off the polished gold and cut stones that decorated it. She turned it over, half expecting to see some message scrawled in pen on the back of the tip, but there was nothing, just unblemished gemstone. Suddenly overcome with a giddy burst of pure excitement, she thrust the wand forwards, aiming at her sisters. Uh-oh. Arg, careful where you're pointing that. Akio peered out at her sister through the fingers covering her face. It looks so real? Natsuna rolled her eyes. Of course it's real. She's flying, ain't she? Or she was, at least. And now she's making real wands appear. Mifuyu stuck a hand on a hip in a practiced pose and brandished a wand over her head. Too right I did. That's 'cause I'm Magia Magenta reporting for duty. She twisted her hand into a victory sign and gave her sisters a quick wink from between her spread fingers. Oh yeah! Ready to take on the evildoers. And at that moment, right on cue, an evildoer appeared. Here comes Alice. Oh man. That's fun. Okay, safely out of sight on the other side of the sand dune, Haruka slept on peacefully, blissfully unaware of her sister's antics, and oblivious, too, to the increasingly anxious voices in her head and the incessant ping, ping, ping of notifications on her phone. She's just real tired, you know. It's okay, Magenta. Nothing's gonna go wrong. Mifuyu had just launched herself into the air for a second time, much to her sister's irritation, when the giant swan hove? Oh, maybe that is really like the past tense of hovered. When the giant swan hove into view above the ridge of the dunes, the head appeared first, its beak an anatomically unlikely shade of luminous pink. On it came, higher and higher into the air, honking and squawking with a surprisingly large number of razor-sharp teeth in its bill. Then the graceful neck, as long as a fully grown person, and a great pair of rainbow-feathered wings rearing out and flapping menacingly. And riding on its back, all three girls gasped in horror. Narrow Alice! Oh my gosh, things are getting serious now. Oh man, that is a badass sounding toy, by the way. Korisu crested the ridge, riding on her inflatable swan. Oh, that's what it was. It was the inflatable, and stared down at the figures below her in bafflement. She'd been hoping for a confrontation with Magia Magenta. Instead, she found... who were they? Two young girls, maybe 6 years old or so, with sun hats and t-shirts on over their bathing suits, with toy wands and hearts. They looked vaguely familiar, but they weren't important right now, because standing in front of them... What was this? It was Magenta, sort of, but shrunk down horribly, hardly any taller than those two other girls. Her face frozen in shock as she stared up at the swan. Her shape was wrong, too. Nothing like womanly enough. Somehow. I don't know, that makes me laugh. And her hair was, well, too short. But the wand that the girl raised at her in her trembling hand looked familiar enough. And in every respect, the outfit was perfect. So, might as well beat her up. Korisu glowered down at the girl, trying to work out what on earth she was meant to do now. This wasn't the sort of fight she'd been wanting to have at all. Then the decision was made for her. The sword of Magia Magenta threw a hand forward. Attack! That's awesome. And all three girls charged at her. There wasn't a lot of college combat skill. I'd imagine there wouldn't be, displayed in their assault. What the girls lacked in technique, they more than made up for in enthusiasm and energy, hammering away at the reinforced sides of the swan as it flapped its wings ineffectively and thrust out with its head, trying to beat off the assailants. That it could be very dangerous, but I guess they're winning. How should we play this? She wasn't really up for getting into a proper fight with a bunch of kids even younger than her. Somebody might get hurt after all, but at the same time, this was, on the face of things, a magical girl fight. So she had to follow their rules. Their rules. That was important, very important. Utena had talked her through the rules enough times by now. that they had seeped into her very essence, as much a part of her as they were of her team leader. That's kind of cool. I like that thought that it's like, because like Utena is like really, she's really into the role playing of the magical girls versus villains thing. So that's kind of a cool concept. And I guess that is kind of what she's trying to do with the girls in canon, though they have varying levels of receptiveness to it. Anyway, also a thrilling thought. It seemed like these girls must have had some sort of connection to the real Magia Magenta, because surely that was her actual transformation heart they were using, no matter what bizarre, unguessable set of circumstances had put it into their possession. If she could capture the heart... There was a loud pop from somewhere in front of her, below her eyeline, and then a metaphorical and literal sinking feeling. No! A loud hissing sound filled the air. Korisu craned her neck in dismay, peering down to the front of the swan. Little Magenta had somehow manifested something that was close enough to the real Magenta spear to constitute an actual effective weapon, and had driven it clean through the front of your beautiful swan. No, her inflatable! She'd been hoping to go in the sea with that later on. That was annoying for sure. Oh, you are going down now, triplets. Frowning grimly, Korisu pressed her hands to the neck of the swan, channeling her magic, in and through and out, just like she'd been shown, pumping it into the bird, re-knitting the torn fibers, melting the ripped plastic back into a single hole, and patching up the damaged side, an impromptu puncture repair kit. She was rather proud of that. There's nothing to be done for the lost heir, though. That's rad. So now she can give direct support to her the toys that she can summon and stuff. And that also it feels like something she could learn from Utena, possibly. Because Utena patched up, she can sew, and she patched up Korisu's doll. And now we have Korisu patching up her own toys, although she's always been kind of patching up her toys, but this is a more advanced method. So maybe that's what's happened here. Utena taught her a little bit about taking care of her toys, and that's cool. I like that. How irritating. Well, the little madam was going to get some sort of punishment for that, even if she wasn't the real Magenta. You have popped my bird, and I am now going to beat your ass. That is... Go, Alice. She stroked her hand down the feathers of the swan's neck, communicating a silent command with her mind. The bird squawked angrily and bent its neck down in a sudden sharp lunge. There was a high-pitched little cry of alarm, and then, as the bird craned its neck upwards again, she saw with delight that it had captured this little pretend Magenta in its bill. The girl was peering out, wide-eyed and helpless, that nasty stabby spear abandoned somewhere down on the sandy floor of the hollow. Ha! That would teach her, the little pain in the backside. And now to get hold of that transformation heart. Korisu inched up the saggy neck of the swan, reaching out her hands to snatch the heart away from around the imprisoned girl's neck. There was shouting from down below, one of the other girls waving frantically and calling up to her friend. "Mifuyu, she's going to try and steal the heart! You've got to give it to me! She's trying to steal the heart of Tafiti! But I don't want to. It's still my turn." Oh my god. What the hell is going on here? Come on, you said it was my turn next. You can be Sulphur now. She was your favorite anyway. Korisu's fingers faltered. She looked down at the girl below, her brain struggling to catch up with the threads of this conversation. Fine then. Quote-unquote Magenta pouted, took the heart from around her neck and held it out from the side of the bill with one hand. Transmagia! There was a burst of light, a spiraling surge of light magic that ebbed and flowed through the air around her, making Korisu blink. When she turned back, Magenta was gone, and in her place was another young girl, seemingly indistinguishable from the other two, gazing out nervously from between the long teeth of the swan, hands gripping the long canines like a prisoner staring through the bars of a cage. Well, that wouldn't do at all. She might be a villain, but she wasn't a monster. With a sigh of irritation, she silently commanded the swan to release its captive. But she had barely framed a thought when there was another burst of magic below her. And where one young girl stood, there was now another one of those strange mini Magentas. Oh my god, get all of them, these transformation devices. That'll be amazing. And this one had wasted no time at all in getting busy with that Magenta spear. There were 3 sharp bangs in quick succession, and her poor darling swan started to deflate at a frightening rate. She was properly annoyed now. Time to take off the kid gloves and show these girls who was in charge. Time to really beat their asses now. Jumping off the collapsing ruin of the swan, she turned back to the crest of dunes behind her, gesturing angrily. There was a loud clattering around. There was a loud clattering sound, and over the top of the dunes, a crowd of plastic crabs came scuttling down through the grass and sand, pincers clacking loudly in the air, eye stalks swaying, legs rattling up and down frantically as they advanced on the 3 girls. That is so cool. Mifuyu, Akiho, get behind me. Magenta twirled her spear. And watch out for them claws. Ready? On 3. 1, 2. Korisu signaled forwards with her hand in a brutal chopping gesture and sat down on the sand dune, smiling grimly as she watched the battle play out in front of her. Whoever these girls were, she had to admit they were good at avoiding blows. Yes, because the smaller they are, the higher their armor class is, if you know about how Dungeons & Dragons... Anyway, as the battle began in earnest, she had felt sure the crabs would have the upper hand. Well, upper claw, at least. 6 against 3, and the crabs were bigger. It shouldn't even be a contest. But the 3 girls went to work with a vengeance, in a display of destructive energy that she could only admire. What a villain team they would have made. Oh, that would also be so awesome. Let's get that. There's so many amazing possible stories that come off of this story, and that's really what I love about fan fiction. Just how there's so many awesome ideas that are being done, and then those just spawn more awesome ideas. But the 3 girls, okay. The 2 normal girls dodged and dived, twisting, skipping from side to side, ducking between the legs of the crabs when they got too close. And whenever they got the chance, punching and kicking at them in a flurry of blows with their hands and feet. Meanwhile, Magenta hacked and slashed at anything that came within strike range, wielding her spear more like a club, but with a wild fury that reminded Korisu of Kiwi-chan in some way she couldn't quite put her finger on. They'd already disabled one of the crabs, which lay there, twitching feebly on its back, 1 claw and 3 legs missing, and 2 of the others were also in bad shape. Surely she wasn't going to lose this fight as well. Magenta was the key. If she could stop her, all the rest of this nonsense would be dealt with, and then she could take the heart and have a think about how to bring the real Magenta into play. So, she bent her thought upon the child. Okay, I get it. And the crabs turned, surging forward, closing in on her from every side. Watch out, Natsuna, behind you! Magenta turned, swinging her spear out in defense, but this time she was just that little bit too slow. The crab claw shot forward, grabbed her arm, and squeezed down with an audible crack. Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God! Suddenly, the fighting stopped, and the screaming started, and the thing was not fun at all anymore, no? Natsuna! Magenta lay on her side, cradling her broken arm, while the other 2 girls charged across to her, shouting and crying, collapsing down onto their knees on either side of her. With a wave of her hand, Korisu broke the enchantment on her toys, and the pieces of plastic fell to the floor. She stood white-faced, her stomach churning. What had she done? How could she make this better? Oh, I actually have an idea. Let's see if she has the same idea. One of the girls was leaning over Magenta, eyes brimming with tears, but with a warm smile on her face. Natsuna, it's my turn now. Can I have a go with the heart? Are you kidding me? I see you've broken your arm, but it's my turn now. Oh my goodness. Magenta looked up, swallowed, and nodded. She reached her good hand up, gripped the heart around her neck, and whispered weakly, Transmagia. And at once, Magenta was gone, and Korisu could see things properly for the first time. I guess she didn't the first time before, because one of them was in the swan beak. 3 girls, identical in appearance, the same pink hair, huge green eyes, dainty noses. It reminded her somehow of the heart was passed one last time. Transmagia! And yet another Magenta was now crouched over the injured girl, smiling kindly down. Don't worry, I've seen her do this for real. Watch. Okay. It's going to be different than how I thought. I thought Alice was going to use her, Alice nurse powers, because she does nurse and Ermita back to health a lot, like when they're hurt. But yeah, anyway, let's see. Magenta held her hand above the broken arm, and Korisu felt it. It was there, the slightest little trickle of magic dribbling down through this little girl, playing at magical girls, and into her injured sister, in and through and out and into the injured arm. Water. It was brilliant, but it wouldn't be enough. She knew it. Oh, maybe it will end up being a little bit of Alice also. Rising to her feet, her shoulders heavy with guilt, she walked nervously over to the three girls, hands held up in a deliberate show of non-aggression. As the other girls eyed her warily, she knelt down next to Magenta, looked the girl in the eye, and nodded. She held her hands over the injury in turn and began to channel. Oh, is she gonna just straight up, like, heal her magic, kind of like she healed her toy? That's cool. In, through, out. In, through, out. She wasn't great at this, not without adopting her doctor persona at least. Oh, they even acknowledged it. That's really cool. I like this. And with her hospital available, but she knew enough about it, and besides, she'd seen the real Magenta at close quarters, doing this precise thing enough times to get the basic idea. In, through, out. The magic flowed. Over the top of the fallen girl, Korisu looked up into the eyes of this strange pretend Magenta. There was a glimmer there of something like understanding. She smiled shyly and nodded her head once. In, through, out. And it was done. There was the sound of shouting, a high, alarmed young voice getting closer and closer. Turning, Korisu saw a pink head of hair starting to rise above the top of the dunes. The other girls saw it too, and their faces blanched in fear. With a hurried whisper, the last Magenta disappeared, and the triplets huddled together, looking up apprehensively as a terrified face appeared over the top of the dune and drew closer and closer. You know, if Haruka came up over the hill and saw Alice having broken the arm of one of her sisters, I think that would very much change the dynamic between Magenta and Alice. And so they definitely healed her just in time. Korisu's eyes widened. Haruka-chan! Of course, the toy shop, her little sisters, how could she have forgotten? Well, they weren't wearing hats before, of course, and she knew Haruka much better than these three, but even so, either way, time to be making an exit. Time to get the hell out of here. Korisu's eyes met the elder girls, and the color vanished out of Haruka's face like someone had pressed a button. Flushed, overheated cheeks were drained of vitality in a single heartbeat, leaving the girl looking like a bowl of yogurt on the turn. She froze, dead in her tracks, and then slowly raised a single hand. Alice-chan, please, don't hurt them. They're only little. It's a little too late, but you don't know that yet. They didn't know what they were doing. They never want to hurt you or anybody else. Please, I'll come with you instead if you'll only leave them be. Oh, that could be cool. Korisu stared and stared as her brain whirled at 1,000 miles an hour. Firstly, what on earth did Haruka think she might do? Was that really what people thought of her? Well, it's good she wasn't here a few seconds ago, or it definitely would. Secondly, how brave was this girl, offering to give herself up to a villain in exchange for her little sisters? It wasn't Korisu's sort of thing, of course it wasn't, but that seemed a really courageous thing to do, even if there was no danger, really. A very brave thing. Heroic, even. Pressure behind her eyes, building painfully. She held Haruka's gaze, Magenta's heart. These girls had it. Why? And with a pop, Korisu's head cleared, and she looked, and she saw. Oh, crap. She got over the identity concealing magic, didn't she? A slow, warm, joy-filled smile slowly spread across her face. She raised a hand in greeting, dropped a dainty little curtsy, and then stepped softly back into the portal that whirled into existence behind her. There was a faint puff of wind, a settling of the sand, and she was gone. Haruka looked down at her sisters, ashen-faced, torn between rage, terror, guilt, and relief. Relief won. That's good. I would be relieved, too. It's a good thing you weren't here earlier, again, I will say. With a squeal, she half slid down the bank of the dune, the sand sticking to her bare legs, laughing and crying and calling out their names. She flung herself on her sisters, bundling them up into a great squeeze of a hug, and lay flat down on the sandy ground beneath her while she waited for her heart to start beating normally again. Aw, that was sweet. I liked that. There's still more. But yeah, I really liked how that whole scene played out. And now we have Alice seeming to possibly know Magenta's secret identity. And of course, Alice knowing it, she's just happy because it's like the magical girl she likes is also the like older girl that she likes. Like this is that friend who played with her in two forms now. So instead of two different, older girls playing with her and being a friend, now it's the same girl. And that's cool. Okay. In the end, a truce was hammered out between them. No mention of hearts, no mention of narrow Alice, no mention of being asleep on the job, and they could all forget about the adventure and pretend it had never happened. Oh, I see. Probably no mention of any of this to the mom, I see. Haruka had called it a matter of trust. It felt more like a grubby little secret held together with mutually assured destruction if word of any of this ever got back to their mother. But she wasn't about to spell that out to the girls. Instead, once she had fielded the mountain of urgent messages from Sayo and Karuko that had appeared on her phone, Haruka had quietly tucked the heart away in her bag with a meaningful look at her sisters, resolving never to even mention it again in their presence and hope the memory faded. She felt eyes on her and looked up to see little Akiho staring at her, a strange expression on her face. Haruka smiled, a nervous little smile, and told herself that it was almost certainly something that her sister would forget in time. Almost certainly. I'm not so sure about that, but we'll see. Several hours later, as they trailed back towards the bus stop after a long and exhausting afternoon, Haruka spotted a familiar figure a short distance away on the beach, busy with a bucket and spade and with a determined expression on her young face. Korisu-chan! It's great to see you. Hey girls, you remember Korisu-chan, don't you? We met her that day at the toy shop with Kiwi-chan and Utena-chan. Come and say hello. They scurried across the hot sand, heavy-legged at the end of a tiring day, and stood by Korisu, watching in interest as she put the finishing touches to her sandcastle. It was an amazing thing, very angular and geometric, a collection of weird and wonderful cuboids piled on top of each other in a seemingly random pattern, with a real sense of unity to it. She made knocked base, didn't she? That's hilarious. Wow, Korisu-chan, that looks incredible. You must have been working on that for hours. We're just on the way home now, but if you're around in the holidays, we'll be coming back here again. It'd be nice to see you. Do you think you'll be back? The girl looked up, appeared to consider the question carefully, and then nodded. Great. Well, next time I'll get the minions here to bring their buckets and spades too, so they can give you a hand. They love building stuff. You'll have a great time playing together. Maybe I'll bring mine too, haha. It'd be nice to play together again sometime, don't you think? Korisu beamed up at them in happiness and nodded her head enthusiastically. Great. Well, let's date then. I'll keep a watch out for you the next time you're coming up. See you soon. Korisu turned to watch the figures as they slowly shrank into the distance in the golden evening light. A bubble of happiness welled up inside her as she stared, her hand playing with the transformation star in the bottom of her bag. Aw, so that was just all in all very sweet. I was very surprised at the arm breaking of the child. That was surprising. I'm glad they were able to heal that. That got very scary for a bit there. So let's see, they have an ending note. Not the story I was expecting to add at this point, but Love is a Stranger has ballooned horribly, and I wanted to get something published to keep the momentum up. Ballooned, Keen readers will spot some references to other stories I've done in the past, in particular Christmas stockings from the Fairy Lights collection. This might give an explanation for Haruka's sleepier demeanor, too. Has always hit me up in the comments. So that could mean that either there's like a lot of, magical girl stuff she's doing, or it could mean something extremely different. But yeah, so that was nice. I liked that one. It was long, but I guess a lot of fics in this fandom are long, so I should probably get used to reading longer things. In the future, maybe I'll take like a little water break in between instead of just kind of slowly dying. the entire time. But, yeah. Let's see what happens when I click on comments. Like some of the names I recognize specifically from seeing them in comments. Is this going to work? Okay, there we go. Oh, wow. Lot of comments. That looks familiar too. Oh, wow, that person left a really big comment. That's awesome. That's cool. Okay, but yeah, this was fun. Trying out a longer fic. Yeah. And how many kudos did this one have? 23, so I feel like that should have more. But anyway, it was longer than I expected. But it was fun. I really liked that one. I really did. And although I might have made fun of it at some points during it, I don't specifically remember, but I just kind of do that all the time anyway. Yeah, I really liked it overall. So that was this attempt. This time I was reading something that was actually Mahoako, unlike my very first video, which that entire first chapter was not Mahoako. And yeah, this was a lot more interesting because I actually knew the characters. That's kind of the problem with crossovers. I might read crossovers if people specifically, suggest ones that are really good. Then maybe I'll give it a try. But otherwise, after that first one, it's just trying to read through a thing where I don't know any of the people is really hard. But yeah, so that was that fic. What was it, Triple Trouble? Yep, Triple Trouble by BlueJerboa. Again, if you want me to read anything specific, please comment it somewhere, and I'll probably get it. I might eventually get up the bravery to say stuff in the Discord and self-promote myself, and then maybe people can actually see these videos. But yeah, for now, that's all. I'll probably stream or do another video later just because this is extremely addicting. And yes, have a great day. Or not, whichever you'd prefer. Sometimes not great days can be very interesting. So you do whatever you want to do. This is Dr. Octoberpuss, wishing you a good and or bad day. Now how do I turn off the... Oh, I think there's the button. Hello, kitty. Goodbye, people.